Democracy at Work founder and the New School visiting professor Richard Wolff is with us now. She doesn't go, you're the Marxist, right?
I am. Happy to be so.
In 20, I can't believe it. You
Yes,
actually
well,
are Marxist.
life is changing. It always does.
Okay, comrade, does Elizabeth Warren, the good senator, has she gone far enough left for you? Surely not.
No, she hasn't, but I can see that what she's doing is continuing, in a sense, what Bernie Sanders was trying to do, which is to open up the question of what direction that party should be. And I think it's a reflection of what's happening in the United States as the country splits more and more between rich and poor and those who benefit from government programs and those who don't, and so on. There are going to be questions about the political life we lead, and the old style is going to vanish, and new parties and new splits will emerge, and she's just part of that.
Now, look, that's interesting political commentary, bearing in mind the state of America today.
Right.
Now, Bernie Sanders, he wants to go a little bit further left, I think. He's got this single-payer idea,
Right.
Medicare for all.
Right.
Now, we've got a report from the Urban Institute that says that Medicare for all, over a 10-year period, would cost $32 trillion. That's a little daunting, isn't it?
It's daunting. It's one of many estimates, some of which are much lower than that. So
True.
You have to kind of
But
work
whatever
that
it
out.
takes, you would take it off the rich.
No, I would take it off a change in the economic system. I don't think whacking one group of the population to help another is a way to build a community or to build a nation. I would never do that.
How would you come up with trillions of dollars? Let's call it $32 trillion. How about changing the economic system? How do you come up with that money?
Well, to give you an example, we have a society now in which, according to Oxfam in England, something like the richest 25, 30 people own as much wealth as the bottom half of the population of the planet.
Okay.
If you begin to deal with a change in economic system, you would distribute our wealth in a different way.
Now
And
that's,
I'm not in favor
fascinating.
of taking it from the rich for the poor. I'm in favor of not distributing it unequally in the first place.
So somebody has to give up their wealth, and you're the one who's going to take it.
No.
Yes.
You're going to change the system so the wealth is not distributed in that way in the first place.
Well, it's already been distributed in that way. What do you have, a revolution?
No, that's what you do. You change the way the economy works so it doesn't distribute it to a few people enormously.
Wait a second.
Because that's why we have these struggles. We take from the rich to give to the poor, and then they're surprised that the society is ripped apart by conflict.
Jeff Bezos has a personal wealth right now of roughly $90 billion.
Yes.
That's wealth. How do you take it off him? How do you redistribute that wealth, which is now his?
Right. You can notice if you talk to Jeff Bezos or Warren Buffett or Bill Gates or any of those other folks, they're in the process of giving that wealth away to charities, to whatever it is that occurs to them to do. They're famous for doing that. I have a better suggestion. Change the economic system so that we don't have one person in a position to do that.
But they've got it right now. They've got it. You got it.
But we live in a democracy. If the majority of people were to understand how a different economic system would distribute things in a different way, we would have the mechanism to go in that direction.
You still got to take it off them.
No, you got to change the system. Even with it,
change the system. You take it off somebody. You take it off me. You take it off Liz. You take it off Ashley. If you've accumulated wealth, you take it off.
The irony is, here I am, a socialist, telling to you, I'm not in favor of taking it from one group and giving it to another.
But,
I want a different system, so we're not in that box.
You've not explained to me how, when we've got this different system, magically the wealth owned by the Bezos people of this world suddenly goes away from them and goes to other people. You've not explained how this happens.
Let me suggest how we can do it.
A vague change in the economic system doesn't work.
It's very concrete. Let me explain. Suppose you had, which we already have around the world, something called a worker co-op, a situation in which a business is owned and operated by all the people in a democratic way. So they sit around and decide, like we do with political decisions, how we produce, what technology we use, and how we distribute the fruits of what everybody helps to produce. They would never give billions to one person while everybody else can't send their kids to school.
Yeah, because
a cooperative production system.
You have expropriated the wealth. Because when we get to that system where the workers sit around and decide who gets what, you've literally changed the system and taken it away from the people who've got it now. You have expropriated
You've changed
by
the system.
force. You have done it by force.
Not necessary.
I'm not going to give you my wealth. You're going to take it off me.
But you agree that we live in a democratic system, and if the majority
no,
of the people
no,
want to change it, then
you.
you would go along with it. Otherwise, you're not supporting the democracy.
You are taking it off me. Somebody with a gun, a police officer, will come to my house and take off that wealth. It's expropriation. That's what you're talking about.
I'm talking about letting the people in this country and every other country decide whether they would rather have an economic system that functions democratically at the workplace, or keep the one we have, which produces this inequality that puts us at each other's throats.
Okay, we'll agree to differ. How about this one? Sir Richard Branson, multi-billionaire. He wants a universal income for all. His rationale is that robots are taking over. Somebody's got to provide an income for the people who lose their jobs. In favor of that? In principle, are you in favor of a universal income?
No.
Really?
No.
Why not?
I told you, socialism, Marxism, these things are changing and rethinking just like everybody else. Here's what I don't like about the universal basic income. I like the idea that we can take care of everybody, and we ought to as a nation. What I don't like is to divide society into those who work and earn their income and those who don't work and still get an income. I don't see that as healthy. I don't see that as fair. And I see that as a prescription for trouble down the road. Here's my suggestion. When we have technological change like robots, computers, let the work day be shortened. Make everybody work to do their fair share and so participate in the benefits of technology with a shorter work week for everybody, so nobody gets an income without working and no one works without getting an income. That would be a better way to take care of people than what we do now, which is use technology to make a lot of profits for people, throw a lot of people out of work, and then be surprised when they're at each other.
Do you realize that you now have the largest audience of capitalists that you will ever have in your life? Do you realize that?
No, I hope I will have more of them.
I hope we get more of them too.
Good. Let's work together on it.
Last one, and I've never ever been able to nail down a socialist, Marxist, communist, or whatever on this. Never been able to get it. Someone who makes $10 million a year, for example, this is before the revolution.
Right.
As of right now, you make $10 million a year. What's the fair share of the government from that $10 million a year?
Here the answer depends on your understanding how our tax system works.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
No.
Because it's not about a rate.
It is about a rate. I'm asking you what the rate should be.
Right, but the question is,
tell me?
rate on what? That $10 million
on your
person,
earned income.
Well, that's not the only tax we pay. We pay on our property. We pay.
Okay, tell me about the earned income tax rate.
Just the part about the
federal
earned
level.
income.
Yes, somebody makes $10 million a year in earned income. They go to work every day, whatever it is, and they get paid $10 million a year, $800,000 a month. What is the fair share of the government from that $10 million?
I would propose that we go back to that which was in place under Republican President Dwight Eisenhower. 50 years ago, we had a tax system that took a great deal more from that person than the tax system we have today, and we had a faster rate of growth, and we had lower unemployment.
You had recessions every other year.
What?
You had recessions every other year.
And you had recessions
You had
every
recessions
quarter.
every other year.
Never have we had that.
And also, hold on a second.
Never had that.
There's one thing you are forgetting, and that is that in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, there were enormous deductions which wealthy people could
Always.
take, and that
Absolutely.
lowered their tax rate.
Right.
It wasn't anywhere near 70%.
Absolutely, but it was way above what we have now. And so I wanted to stress, I'm not asking for something utopian and strange and distant in the future.
Yes, just tax the rich.
I just want us to go back to what we all as a nation,
Tax the rich,
including our Republican
tax
president,
the rich
thought
and
was appropriate.
expropriate wealth.
No,
Yeah.
change the system so
I
we
was
don't have the
brought up
problem.
with folks like you. I really was. I've
I don't
been
think
there.
so.
I'm a refugee from there.
That's why you were surprised by what I said.
No, I wasn't. You can never surprise me, Professor. And that was fun.
Good.
Will you come back?
Absolutely.
If I invite you. All right, Professor, you're all right. Thanks very much, comrade.